Now, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if Bronze the God is still in here, if he's watching. But if Bronze the God is watching, shout out to Bronze the God. Everybody throw some radiation emoji in the chat for Bronze the God. He sent me this article about the quote-unquote woke. The quote-unquote woke Robert E. Lee family reunion at the Arlington House in Virginia. Isn't this enough to make you want to throw up? Black and white descendants of Robert E. Lee met for a reunion at the Arlington House in Virginia. What do you guys think about this? I find it amazing how the United States is so dishonest. They act like they don't know that there's black descendants of these Adosos. Black and white descendants of Robert E. Lee met for a reunion at the Arlington House in Virginia. Now, let me ask you guys a question. If you were related to Robert E. Lee, how would you feel? Would you go to a reunion? How would that work? Honestly, I can't say how I would feel about it. I'd have to meet a lot of the family, but I'm assuming that most of the family is probably not too far removed from Robert E. Lee, so that probably wouldn't be my hangout spot. Like, you wouldn't catch me there playing Kool and the Gang Celebration. You know what I'm saying? Because these are family values. These are Adoso family values. If anything, what needs to happen is the descendants of Robert E. Lee, we need to get information from these people and find out who the other Adosos are and what businesses they owned and what businesses they are now. Facts. Val, I wouldn't say a word except for run me my money. Facts. If you guys agree with Val and AB Promotions, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, run me the money. Run it, skirt, run it. You know what I'm saying? So look, they got their little shirts on. They actually got shirts, you know what I'm saying? Like the Lee family reunion. Yo, that is crazy, man. That is crazy. Do you think that in any other genocidal situation in the world, they have pictures of the people who were genocided along with the perpetrators of the crime, like a happy family reunion? Do you guys think that they had that anywhere? Yeah, shout out to JB Easy. Ain't no way. Facts. I don't think this is crazy, man. There was a different type of family reunion that happened at the former plantation home of Robert E. Lee last weekend in Virginia. Yo, they had a family reunion at a damn plantation, y'all. At a damn plantation. That's where they had the family reunion. Damn, that's crazy. NPR reported, we'll look at this NPR article. I was hoping there was another article other than Black Enterprise. Let's see if this goes into any other detail. NPR reported that descendants of Confederate General Robert E. Lee, now mind you, Robert E. Lee is responsible for killing John Brown and John Brown's family. Yeah, I would have to agree with Blaxploitation. Blaxploitation says, again, one of the many reasons why they'll never take us seriously. If you guys agree with Blaxploitation, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. P says, and the black peeps turned up. Oh my, they turned. Look at them, bro. Look at it. Look. We're gonna look at this. We're gonna look at this in a little bit more detail. Look at that. They go to black people right there. Matter of fact, it almost looks like there's more black people than white people, man. And that's true. Moses has a point. This is absolutely true. Can't choose the family you're born into. That is a fact. I know somebody that went to my college that was a descendant of Thomas Jefferson, a black descendant of Thomas Jefferson. I'm not going in on these people because of who they were born to. The optics is just wild to me. And, you know, I'm curious as to what went on there. You know what I'm saying? It's like I keep saying, It's just wild. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just wild. So now here it says descendants of Confederate General Robert E. Lee and descendants of slaves owned by Lee pose for a photo during a reunion at Lee's former plantation home, the Arlington House at Arlington National Cemetery in Arlington, Virginia on April 22nd of 2023. So these are like literal American descendants of slaves. You know what I'm saying? Torian says, I see what they're trying to do. I bet it went along the lines of, see, Robert E. Lee wasn't as bad as they make him out to be. Now put them statues back up. Facts. And stop talking about a check. Facts. If you guys agree with Torian, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. This is just wild to me. Have you ever seen a picture of World War II victims with World War II victimizers? Have you ever seen that? Do they blare that all over the media? I do agree with this blaxploitation. Blaxploitation says can't choose your fam, but you can choose to promote and celebrate a known racist and murderer. Why are they up there smiling like doofuses? Gotta agree. That's what I'm talking about, Rick. Have you ever seen one of those? This is that disheartening stuff, man. This is the kind of stuff that'll make you just be like, ugh. And then listening to that Professor Black Truth this morning, that guy that he was talking about in his video, is just like, man. What do you do? You know what I'm saying? So these are actual descendants of slaves. I'm curious. And again, all I'm commenting on is the optics of this, because this is just wild to me. Shout out to Ricky Jones. What's good with it, bro? What I'm curious about is I'm curious as to how these people feel about reparations. What do you guys think? How do you think these people's reparations politics are? Like, this is crazy. Like, that's just crazy, man. That's just wild. So now here it says there was a different type of family reunion that happened at the former plantation home of Robert E. Lee last weekend in Virginia. Yeah, it definitely was different, all right. NPR reported that descendants of Confederate General Robert E. Lee met with the descendants of people he once enslaved. So again, these are descendants of slaves. These are actually American descendants of slaves. Hosted at the Arlington House, this was the first time some of them have met in person, as they have had conversations virtually, hoping to understand the racial divide with something called the family circle. Hoping to understand the racial what's there to understand? Is this, are we going to go down the road of just nobody knows what they were doing? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment, smash the like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell icon, please make sure you guys hit that bell icon twice. Also, share the stream to your social media. Let's check this video out.
An emotional reunion today at Arlington House, the former plantation home of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Today, descendants of enslaved people as well as Lee's descendants coming together for a ceremony aimed at reconciliation and story.
Aimed at reconciliation? How are they going to reconcile anything at a family reunion? I'm asking this question. Now, mind you, I want everybody to be perfectly aware. This isn't a family that is a mixed, blended, interracial family as a result of a voluntary relationship or a voluntary union. You know what I'm saying? These are direct slave descendants. Now, what I want to know is how many of these Black Lees got any life insurance or any money or inherited any land, or I want to know the Lee family wealth gap. Do you guys think that there's an interesting dynamic there? I'm curious about the Lee family wealth gap, and shout out to my man Black Star Racer. This is just crazy, man.
An emotional reunion today at Arlington House, the former plantation home of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Today, descendants of enslaved people as well as Lee's descendants coming together for a ceremony aimed at reconciliation and storytelling. News 4's Derek Ward has more on the goal of the reunion at Arlington House.
A meeting between strangers with an ancestral familiarity. Sarah Fleming is a descendant of the Lee family. Mildred Burnett is a descendant of the Syphax family. How would their ancestors feel about this meeting?
Well, that part I don't know.
I'm curious as to what you guys think. How do you guys think that their ancestors on either side would feel about this meeting? This just has me awestrucken. Shout out to DBB. What's good with it, DBB? Hey, what's up with it? Hey, Mr. Knickerbocker. And yes, people, please help with the likes. That would definitely be dope. Ladies and gentlemen, we got our first stream sponsor. This is officially a grift now that money has been made. I want everybody to show some love to AB Promotions for turning the stream into an official grift. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to AB Promotions for making it official. I'm sure there were some who weren't interested to meet with the Adoso. Yeah, I agree. If you guys agree with AB Promotions, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. This is just wild, man.
I think my parents are probably delighted, and my grandparents, but as far as going,
you think that your parents would be delighted in your you think your grandparents and parents would be delighted? Yours would be? Oh my God, the dishonesty. Are you serious? She thinks that her parents and her grandparents would be delighted. Oh man, that's what she thinks. I wonder if she'd say that with her hand on her Christian Bible. This is a mockery, man. Blaxploitation says I can smell the crap through my computer. Facts. Hey, Mr. Knickerbocker says her grandparent is Robert E. Lee with her 1930s born ass. Right. And her parents, I want y'all to listen to this. Listen to this again. This is, wow.
How would their ancestors feel about this meeting?
well, that part I don't know. I think my
Now the black lady, I believe. Now that part I don't know. I'm sure, yeah, that it would be questionable, but I don't think that her direct ancestors would be very happy with her, you know, having a friendly powwow with the people who dehumanized him. And when I say the people, I'm not talking about white people. I'm talking about the actual traced Adoso to the family that dehumanized your family. This kind of stuff here, this leaves me speechless. Like, this is just wild.
Well, that part I don't know. I think my parents are probably delighted, and
your parents in the South, you're a descendant of slave owners. You think that your parents would be thrilled that you had a family reunion with former slaves. You actually think that. She doesn't think that. And I gotta agree with AB Promotions. She would absolutely lie with her hand on the Bible. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I agree. She would absolutely undoubtedly, undoubtedly lie with that hand on the Bible.
My grandparents, but as far as going back to the Lees, I don't know.
They were among about 100 descendants of the enslaved and their enslavers who
Descendants, again, we're not talking about just random white people here. We're talking about the family that enslaved your family. I don't know how happy I'd be to be around the tribe of people that was responsible for sending the transatlantic deposit people here, let alone around some Adosos. Shout out to Fantizzy. What up with it, bro? Now that's a little bit more like what her family would say, Val. The white descendants would be saying, why are you meeting with those ninjas? Facts. If you guys agree with Val, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. This is wild, man. These people, the news agency, like this whole thing right here is shameful, if you ask me. I mean, like, my question is, like, what are they trying to do here? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are they trying to do here? Shout out to B1 First. What's good with it, bro? Y'all getting there? Y'all getting there? Wow.
among about 100 descendants of the enslaved and their enslavers who gathered at Arlington House, the Lee Mansion. The National Park Service has been facilitating virtual meetings and dialogues among this group since 2021. Those meetings led to this one.
Today, we intend to honor our ancestors, to celebrate the work.
Honor your ancestors? Honor them? This is a black guy right here, I think.
Of our family.
Yeah, this is a black guy. Honor your ancestors? Which ones, bruh? Shout out to my man DJ Elmo. Yo, DJ Elmo, I think you got somebody else from over the pond in here. If I'm not mistaken, I think P is from over the pond. You know what I'm saying? Torian says, watch, they'll try and do this with all well-known enslavers. They have done this with have they done this with George Washington, Abe Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson? I think that they've done something like this with they've tried to do something like this with Thomas Jefferson. Honestly, just Pearly Things was promoting the George Washington bullshit. Shout out to my man Carlton. What's good with it, bro? Here's my question. This dude said, I'm here to honor my ancestors. Which ancestors? What ancestors are we talking about here? It can't be all of them. Bro, you put black on your job application. That is exactly what I said, AB. AB might be a little bit, AB sometimes be a little bit later on in the stream. Shout out to my man P for the £2 super chat. Make sure you guys show some love. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat for P. Definitely appreciate you, bro. I have to agree with JB Easy, man. This is shameful. I'm gonna shut up. Let me shut up.
To this one.
Today, we intend to honor our ancestors, to celebrate the work of our family circle.
It's a part of history that's still being interpreted, still a thorny subject some 160 years after.
DJ Elmo said, after Cyrod Garvey shenanigans, he made the block hot. Am now a citizen of Sentinel Island. That's hilarious, man. Would this be? Where's Grind and Motivate? We gotta get Grind and Motivate. KO Kid fit in here. Would this be considered tooting it up? Yeah, I'd have to say this is tooting it up. If you guys think that this is tooting it up, give me a thumbs up. If this isn't tooting it up, let me know what it is.
to the mansion passed down from an adopted grandson of George Washington to Robert E. Lee and his wife. There may have been little daily equality among the ancestors of these folks, but today one commonality is clear.
For my mom is, when she was brought up, it wasn't talked about a whole lot.
The older generation really didn't dwell on as much as the newer generation.
Dwell. What do they mean, dwell? I gotta agree, and this is a good question that I'd like you guys to answer in the comment section. Black Exploitation says, are we gonna ask the question as to why they made this a public spectacle? Really, do they try to rewrite history or at least to downplay it? Yeah, I gotta agree, probably both. Short-term goal of rewriting, or short-term goal of downplaying, long-term goal of rewriting. You know what I'm saying?
For Inez Park, the irony in all this is clear. She, like scores of local school children, were familiar with this place.
We learned about the house. We toured the house and all.
Not knowing that her great-grandfather, Robert Park, was born, raised, and buried on these very grounds.
I want to know what the family wealth gap is. And what I also want to know is I want to look through the court records of the first people in the Lee family and if any of the wealth was ever transferred to any of the black residents of the Lee family. Now, Just Pearly Things said that, the quote unquote slave masters left slaves stuff, right? Which interestingly enough would be worthless if it was the possession of the slaves, because slaves didn't have any rights to be able to do anything with anything that they had. Shout out to Mr. Arden. What's good? I think Mr. Arden is from across the pond too. We got a across the pond OG over here. My man DJ Elmo and Sophia when she decides to show up. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to AB Promotion for officially making this a grift. Shout out to the grift. You know what I'm saying? They are trying to subvert reparations with reconciliation like South African. That's a good point, bro. If you guys agree with AB Promotions, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I think he might be onto something with that. And shout out to Carla for answering Streamlabs. Man, this is wild.
I feel like he's here with me.
Margaret Taylor.
At the ceremony, the names of the known residents of this place were read, enslaved, and enslaver alike. The descendants formed a circle, symbolic of their connections. As elders pass away,
symbolic of the connections, where's the chains at? Shout out to Liverpool, England, to be precise. That's what's good, bro. Where's the chains at? How is holding hand? Holding hands was illegal back then. You couldn't hold hands as a black person holding a white person's hand. So what is this symbolic of? Some kind of false reality? Post-truth reality? I am. I'm taken back. And as you guys know, this is what I'm talking. This right here is what I'm talking about. I'm not an activist. I'm not the, fist pumper. I'm not that. I'm just a regular, normal black dude voicing my opinions on the internet. And what did I tell you? They've normalized this anti-black agenda to the point where a average, everyday black person that has a little bit of self-respect will get called a quote unquote pro-black, pro-quack, whatever it is that they say on YouTube. It's insanity. This is insane. This is true. Hey, Mr. Knickerbocker's always here to remind me of the truth. Who told you were normal, Rob? This is true. This is true. I'm assuming, I'm assuming. I gotta agree. Rick. This is very, and I think that's what it's for, to be honest. And I gotta agree with AB. Symbolism. Now, this is I want you guys to understand, this is one of the reasons why people get so upset when people start talking crazy about reparations. This is the kind of stuff that we're bombarded with over here all the time. All I gotta say is I'd advise people to watch Professor Black Truth's video that he dropped this morning. How many people saw Professor Black Truth's video? If you guys saw his video that he made this morning, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't, give me a thumbs down. And I gotta agree with B1. Symbolism, this is crazy. Where's what's that motherfucking name? Why can't I think of his name? Oh, why can't I? What's old boy's name? Man, y'all crazy. Man, the basketball player. Why the hell can't I think of his damn name? TD always be using him in the video. Shout out to Tammy. What's good with it, Tammy? Man, that's gonna kill me, man. Why can't I think of dude's name? Damn.
Some rue the lost conversations about the history that was their lives.
Now I could kick myself because I didn't ask questions.
Connecting as many descendants and relatives.
Man, connect that signature with cursive writing on that damn check. You talking about connecting? Nah, not LeBron. Nah, Russell Westbrook. My man Jay Bird got it. Westbrook. Yeah, damn, there you go. Westbrook. T-Rex and Penny got it. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about Charles Barkley later, though. We're gonna be talking about Charles Barkley later. Rick said Kwame Brown.
As possible is super powerful.
What happened here today doesn't end with the ceremony. It's the start of a more interpretive and contextual history of this place and the people who lived here.
What is the point? Where's the money at? Who didn't Gangsta Boo make that song Where Them Dollars At? Didn't Gangsta Boo make that song called Where Them Dollars At? Rest in peace, Gangsta Boo. Didn't she make that song Where Them Dollars At? Who made that song Where Them Dollars At? Because that's the only thing I would have to say at this little whatever you want to call this right here. This is wild, bro. Like, I don't even know what's up with that. Some white pastor talking about Lord, it's just too much going on. Relatives like Cecilia Torres used to visit the house when she was a little girl and said she's on the family circle committee to uplift memories of her great grandparents. I'm on this committee, the family circle, to bring back the memories of our ancestors as well as reconcile with the family that enslaved them. What? I hope that reconciliation has a check. Know what I'm saying? She is the descendant of Selena Gray and Thornton Gray, with Selena being the personal house servant to Lee's wife, Mary Curtis Lee. Oh, cringe, man. She said her grandmother never used the term slave when referencing her ancestors. Instead, Torres would say, that's your great grandmother's house. She was kind of like a maid to Miss Lee. So that's that whole we sick boss shit. You know what I'm saying? That's that we sick boss shit right there. Do you guys see it? If you guys see it, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't see it, give me a thumbs down. That is that we sick boss shit right there. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you guys haven't hit the bell, make sure you guys hit that bell. And also, please make sure you guys share the video to your social media. Yeah. Blaxploitation is on it. This is bananas. And of course, the reporter is black too. The optics are both gnarlingly obvious, but so subtle in its undercurrent message. Yeah, I gotta agree. And just for, just so we have it out there, what do you feel that the undercurrent message is? The celebration, look at this. The celebration called Finding Our Voice drew a crowd of about 100 people. Stephen Hammond, the organizer and the descendant of a Lee family slave, said this has been a lifelong goal of his. Really? That's your goal? It's been important that we get to know one another because our ancestors existed in this space together, Hammond said, according to GBH News. Oh, we got to look at this nonsense. Jeez, man. This stream is going to be longer than I thought it would be. This stream is going to be longer than I thought it would be, guys. Is that okay? He said there is a power in connecting. I'm sorry, man. Connect that damn pen to that check and write it. That's the only kind of power in connecting that I see. Yeah. We sick, boss. Yo, this is wild, man. To have these families be apart and going their separate ways for 160 years, then to be able to come back together to start a conversation about our lives and what we can do to accomplish together is extremely powerful. No, that's not extremely powerful. That's not anything. Man, let me shut up. Connect the pen to that damn check and get to writing. Over the past few years, work has been done to remove statues honoring Lee and his racist history. In 2021, a statue in his likeness was removed in Charlottesville, Virginia. The setting of the Unite the Right rally, a rally for white supremacists. This family is a family of white supremacists. The city council voted to have the statue melted down and allowed black artists to transform it into something else. That doesn't do anything, man. That don't do anything. They should have kept that shit up and wrote that damn check is what they should have done. Exactly. Interesting how he worded it. Our ancestors shared the same space. Now one group owned the other. That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. Yo, this is this right here. This right here, man, this is crazy. If you guys agree with AB Promotions, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yo, this is trife. They're strangers with a painful shared bond. Only one side of these people have pain. What are they talking about with a painful shared bond? They don't share any bonds. How do you share a bond with somebody that owned you? What are they talking about? What are they talking about? Look at this craziness. They got the same picture. There was a one-of-a-kind reunion over the weekend at Arlington House, the national memorial to Robert E. Lee that sits atop a hill in Arlington National Cemetery. Descendants of the Confederate general gathered with descendants of people the Lee family once enslaved on the property in Virginia. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Don't you think that this would be the perfect opportunity to talk about reparations? If you guys think that this would be the perfect opportunity to talk about reparations, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that it would be the perfect opportunity to talk about reparations, then give me a thumbs down. If you ask me, this is the perfect opportunity to talk about reparations. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we are now officially high-level grifting because of my man Rick C with the $10 super chat. B1, shout out to my man Rick C. Make sure you guys show some love and throw some radiation emoji in the chat. Yeah, I gotta agree, Kareem. This is something that you would only see in the movies. And Bronze of God is up in here. Make sure you guys show Bronze of God some love because he's the one that sent me this content. Many of them are seeing one another for the first time after meeting virtually for the last 2 years in pursuit of racial understanding in what's known as the family circle. What is there to understand? What do they mean, racial understanding? Here, it's real easy. The white part of the family owned the black part of the family. What's difficult to understand about that? See, like, here's my thing, man. Like, let me shut up. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys show some love to Hey Mr. Knickerbocker for keeping the grift alive, because, you know, anytime any kind of, you know, monetary appreciation becomes involved with your content, it shifts from content to a grift, as long as we're all aware of that. Okay, so make sure you guys show some love, throw some radiation emoji in the chat for Hey Mr. Knickerbocker for helping to promote the grift. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of promoting the grift, I gotta email Hotep Jesus. We're gonna record a we're gonna record something and put it out. we're gonna record something and put it out. You know what I'm saying? Piss everybody off. So now here it says, I'm on this committee, the family circle, to bring back the memories of our ancestors as well as reconcile with the family that enslaved them. What do they mean, reconcile? And why are the people who were enslaved talking as if they're the ones that need to reconcile with the people who enslaved them? What? Shout out to Deneen. What's good with it, Deneen? We gotta get with Hotel Jesus and put you on the Grift Award ballot. I know, right? Shout out to Robin and Battle. What's good with it? If you guys agree with DJ Elmo, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, let me know why you disagree. Man, that is crazy. Selena Gray was the personal servant. We read all this. We talked about this. I want to see if there's anything different. I want you guys to take a look at these people. So this is Cecilia Torres, the Gray family. So as you can see, this is one of the reasons why they don't want critical race theory taught, because these people's families, especially in the South, these people's families are going to be the people in the pictures, in the book. You know what I'm saying? Look at this. The celebration on the grounds of Arlington House on Saturday was called Finding Our Voice and drew about 100 people. We are the first ever reunion of descendants of this space. What do they mean we are the first ever reunion? Why are they using this kind of cringe language? Thank you. Thank you, PD Chicago B1. If you guys agree with what PD Chicago B1 says, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And let me ask you guys something. If a media outlet tried to run something like this, what do you think those people would do? Stephen Hammond was a descent of the enslaved Sfax family. To have these families be apart and going their separate way for 160 years and then be able to come back together to start a conversation about our lives and what we can do and accomplish together is extremely powerful, Hammond says. Well, what we can do together is what you can do is you can tell me exactly what I need to know to be able to access the family trust, for starters. That's what you can do. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, the grift is ongoing. We getting it in. Make sure you guys throw some radiation emoji in the chat for Hey Mr. Knickerbocker with the $2 super chat. Noticed her mom was a literal house ninja. Yeah, a literal one. She had the apron on and everything. She was a literal house shinobi. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, man. My blood would be boiling. Honoring the legacy. My blood is boiling reading this nonsense. Honoring the legacy of the families enslaved. How do you honor the legacy without a check? Right, DBB. But if you even mention that, you know what comes next. You know what they're gonna call you. You know how the dog pile is gonna start. Torian says, I agree. I'm sorry, I guarantee if the topic of reparations came up, it would be a reenactment of Charlottesville. Yeah, facts. He's been working with the National Park Service to honor the legacy of families enslaved at the Arlington House because he says the house would not have existed without the slave labor. How about the cash value of the house? I guarantee you somebody lives in it, and I guarantee you not one black person made $1 off that damn house. He's been working. Look at this. Look at this. This dude right here. This light-skinned brother right here. Looking like Russell Simmons and shit. You know what I'm saying? He's been working with the National Park Service to honor the legacy of families enslaved at Arlington House because he says the house would not have existed without slave labor. So what are you going to do? Put it up on the market and sell it and split the money with the descendants, or what? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? They built the plantation house. They took care of the fields. They took care of the livestock, and they took care of people, he said. So their stories are just as important as those stories of the people who enslaved them. What about the... Let me shut up. And, do you know that these ungrateful people would have the nerve to sit here and say that this is woke? As watered down and nonsensical as this is? During renovations 2 years ago, the Park Service helped start the Family Circle dialogue, bringing together descendants of everyone who had a role here. What do they mean had a role here? What do they mean had a role here? Among them is Robb Lee. I am General Lee's great-great-grandson, and I am Robert E. Lee V, he says. So now we have some information about those who are alive today who are being affected by slavery. Now, let me ask you guys a question. White people always ask the question, how does slavery affect anybody that's alive today? If we can calculate a racial wealth gap between the white ancestors of Robert E. Lee and the black ancestors of Robert E. Lee, do you think that slavery is affecting those white ancestors positively today? If you guys think that it is, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that it is, then give me a thumbs down. Lee and his sister, Tracy Lee Crittenberger, say they were surprised at first that the descendants of the enslaved families wanted to get to know them, but they found the conversations fruitful. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Why do you think the Lee family was surprised that the descendants of slaves wanted to get to know them? I haven't really been feeling good lately, but this actually has brought me back to literally being sick to my stomach. I got a little bit of cranberry juice right here without vodka in it. Maybe that's why I'm sick to my stomach, because I need the vodka. But this has literally got me sick to my stomach. This has got me sick to my damn stomach. Lee and his sister, Tracy Lee Crittenberg, say they were surprised at first that the descendants of the enslaved families wanted to get to know them. Let me ask you guys a question. And how come nobody asked this question? Are you guys still racist? Are you still racist? Do you think you did anything wrong? Do you think you owe anybody anything? Let me shut up. Let me shut up. Let me shut up. I want to continue to have this video monetized by YouTube. I'm trying to get out of my shadow ban, which is one of the reasons why you guys are getting a Just Pearly Things marathon this weekend. How many people are excited about the Just How many people are excited about the Just Pearly Things marathon? If you guys are excited, give me a thumbs up. If you're not, give me a thumbs down or angry face. Yeah, I gotta agree with Torian. Something tells me they dropped the N-word a time or two. Yeah. Torian says boo. That's a great question, Blaxploitation. Let's ask this question. Who's painted in a better light because of all this? I don't know. Lord, no, please no. That means yes, right? That means yes, right? You know what I'm saying? All right, we won't do a marathon. We'll just do about an hour. And then we'll talk about something else. I got some good topics that I could talk about besides that. We got to get this Just Pearly Thing stuff to take BLR2 to 4,000 though. So y'all got to rock with me. Rock with me. Rock with me. So now here it says, everybody was so gracious for what? And everyone really just looked at who you are right now. Who's sitting across from me? And we started it from there, says Crittenberger. And then your story is your story. But look at this. But what your ancestors did doesn't have to necessarily impact who you are. It does. Your ancestors are who created you. We all have a common ancestor. That's why we walk upright. Fuck out of here. Damn it, I just messed up my monetization. I just messed up my grift. This is the butt of the joke though. Everybody else is supposed to be able to just talk about this and loosely talk about our history while we sit there and just let them. That's not how we were raised to be. It is how you were raised to be. Are you serious? Your family were slave owners and Confederate generals. What do you mean this isn't how your family was raised to be? I think where people would like to paint us in a certain way by being General Lee's grandchildren, Lee says, but that's not how we were all raised to be. It is how you were raised to be. And on top of it, you didn't leave or move or go anywhere. You stayed in the South. We are the world. We were your Negroes. But it's a better day because we are villains and no longer heroes. The siblings are so eager to see what comes from this family circle process. It better be spitting out like an ATM machine. If this conversation can become a blueprint for other people, that would be a whole separate victory, says Crittenberger. Why? Because it would ensure a racial wealth gap to eternity. This is you sure did. Everybody drop some radiation emoji in the chat for Torian. Torian definitely called it. The work is being guided by Susan Glisson, a Mississippi historian who has worked for years to help desperate groups reconcile with the country's fraught racial history. Now, is this Susan Glisson woman? Yeah, this is her right here, Susan Glisson. How is she helping people reckon with the country's fraught racial history? How many checks has she gotten written? Shout out to Al McCowan. What's good with it, bro? How many checks has this lady gotten written? How is she helping with the racial history? How is she helping with anything? Man, this is wild, dude. It's happening as, look at this. It's happening as some conservative politicians are pushing laws that would restrict frank discussions of race. So this right here is this is the Democrat answer to the Republican attack on Black history, not reparations. This nonsense here, freaking family reunions. The past doesn't need to be an anchor. It should be a buoy. And that's how the circle sees this, Glisson says. The past is a navigational tool to point us into a better way to be. As long as that navigational tool points us into the vault where the money is, we okay. As long as that navigational tool says vault this way, or trust fund this way, or cash this way, then we're good. If not, we got some problems. If it's not like that, then we got some problems. Glisson says it's significant that Robert E. Lee, the Confederate figure so revered by some and loathed by others, can be the catalyst for this work. He's not the catalyst for this work. Literally, many people have been trying to figure this kind of stuff out for a very long time. He's not catalyzing anything. Let me ask you guys a question. I say it, and I say it, and I keep saying it. Do you guys see the need for a large-scale, high-volume media machine? Shout out to Carla for answering the Nightbot. And shout out to Carla for answering Streamlabs. If you guys see the need, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't see the need, then give me a thumbs down. It's about building relationships. No, it's not. These families, look at this. These families refuse to allow him to be a figure of division and instead take the opportunity to come together and grapple with hard history and find the family tie that exists, she says. Where's the money? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit that bell, make sure you guys hit that bell icon twice, and please share the stream to your social media. And shout out to Val for answering the Nightbot. This is sick. Oh, look at this. At the end of the day, we're all friends. We're all able to talk about things that are difficult without fighting or being in our feelings. Angry Tourist says we're all friends. This is disgusting. This is sick. Some of the newfound relationships have been transforming. The generosity coming from, look at this, the generosity coming from the descendants of people who my ancestors hurt so horribly. It feels like an incredible gift. Of course, it's an incredible gift because they're letting you get away with not only murder, but financial robbery. So of course it feels like a damn gift, a gift that you don't deserve. Says Sarah Fleming, her fourth great-grandfather was Robert E. Lee's uncle. We all grew up being very excited that we were connected to the Lees, she says. We also grew up knowing slavery was horrible, but the family didn't talk about the space in between. that Lees were enslavers. Are you guys hearing this? If you guys are hearing this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys are not hearing this, give me a thumbs down. Man, listen. Providing a forum to explore that space holds promise, says Stephen Hammond, among the organizers of Family Circle. I think this opportunity is presented that allows our country to repair itself and to heal over some division that we felt so long. Because the Lee family wants to play together, that represents the rest of the nation. Torian, bro, I got a bad migraine already before I even started this. You can ask Bronze or KO Kid Fit. I was actually talking to them on Messenger, and I'm like, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to live stream today because my head is killing me. Reading this, man, my head feel like somebody busting me upside my head with a hammer, man. Hammond says, so much of the time we're talking past each other, not talking to each other. The group is pushing to change the official designation of Arlington House to drop Robert E. Lee's name and make it a national historic site that embraces the full history here. It will take an act of Congress. Man, what kind of act will it take to get that damn money? Who cares about that damn house? Lee's direct descendants, look at this. Lee's direct descendants support the name change. I don't feel like we're taking the name away, says Robb Lee. I think when you call it Arlington House, you're just opening it up to more of the families who live there, honestly, and I think it's more appropriate. No, they need to know it as what it was, a slaughterhouse. They need to know it as what it is. It was a damn slaughterhouse. Organizers say they want to see this historic decadent reunion become a yearly celebration. Oh, no. No. Man, this is wild, man. The gathering held special significance for Leah Coleman, an African-American park ranger at Arlington House. She came to tears in taking it all in. Why? The only tears that she should have had should have been tears of anger at seeing how weak and gullible people are. Let me shut up. Let me ask you guys a question. Had you guys heard of this, anything about this before you guys heard it here? Yeah, I agree. DJ Elmo says the 105-year-old Tulsa survivor is still fighting for her reparations. Facts. Just seeing all of these people come together in this moment at this site, it just symbolizes hope for me. What are you hoping for? And why are you okay with a symbol? For me, hope of our country, because if they can do it, we all can do it. It means the world to me. Yeah, well, guess what? The world is correct. Disgusting. This is trifling, man. This is a defilement of history. Descendants of Robert E. Lee and the people in his family enslaved to meet in a moment of reconciliation. There's some video here. Let's take a look at it.
More than 160 years ago, Arlington House in Arlington, Virginia was home to about 100 enslaved African Americans. They were forced to serve the family of George Washington Parke Custis, step-grandson of the first president.
George Washington Parke Custis. So there's your George Washington, Torian. I'm going to change this to 1.25 so that just in case they want to be on some weird stuff. This is descendants of Robert E. Lee and the people his family enslaved to meet in moment of quote unquote reconciliation. I'm sorry, but I don't consider this reconciliation. This is not what I consider reconciliation. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys consider this reconciliation? If you guys consider this reconciliation, give me a thumbs up in the chat. If you don't consider this reconciliation, give me a thumbs down or an angry face in the chat.
More than 160 years ago, Arlington House in Arlington, Virginia was home to about 100 enslaved African Americans. They were forced to serve the family of George Washington Parke Custis, step-grandson of the first president. He built the home in the early 1800s. It was ultimately passed down to his daughter and her husband, Confederate Army General Robert E. Lee. The enslaved didn't receive their freedom until the end of the Civil War, when many of them remained close to Arlington House, planting roots on the land that they were once forced to work. Now, this weekend, for the first time, descendants of both the Lee family and those they enslaved will gather for a public conversation at the very location their ancestors lived together nearly 200 years ago. I'm joined by one of those descendants, Stephen Hammond, who's a member of the Syphax family, whose ancestors were enslaved at Arlington House by the Lee family, as well as Susan Glisson, president and founder of the Glisson Group, a firm that focuses on cultivating healing related to racism. She's also the founding executive director of the William Winter Institute for Racial Recognition. Welcome to both of you.
Pleasure to be here, Jared. Thanks for having us.
Well, Stephen, let me start with you and ask, this didn't happen overnight, of course. This is centuries of history that you'll have a conversation about this weekend. I know there have been conversations, or especially more intense conversations over the last few years, but what did it take to arrive at this moment?
Well, it's taken a lot of patience to get here. We've been doing our family history. I have been doing our family history probably for about 50 years.
Man, my question is, why are you doing your family history for a reunion instead of doing it for reparations? That's my question. Like, to me, right? And I'm no authority over anybody. This is just my opinion, my feelings. You should be doing your family history for reparations. What is this? Notice notice the age demographic. Yeah. Sound like Smokey Robinson. Look like him too. This is beige babble. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree this is beige babble, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. This is beige babbling right here.
The opportunity to interact with the Lees has been something that's been on my radar screen and my to-do list and my bucket list for many years. And the fact that the house was renovated and it offered an opportunity when it reopened to allow descendants to get together, to allow us to start to have conversations, really created the opportunity for us to get together. And we began talking about 2 years ago, and now we're going to get together face to face.
And you're doing this very publicly. There will be private parts of this conversation this coming weekend as well. But why is a conversation necessary, and why is a public conversation necessary?
Well, I think there's a couple of pieces here, Jared. It's important that we get to know one another because our ancestors existed in this space together. And
our ancestors existed in this space together. Sorry, said, Rob, them your beige people. I know, bro. I know. That's what I be saying. That's what I be saying. It's exactly what I be saying. That's why I be the way I be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, come on, man, you making me look bad. Somebody gonna look at me and think that I'm on this kind of nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Thank goodness we got Dr. Claude Anderson and Neely Fuller Jr. and Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Pete. You know what I'm saying? My man Pete says, with all due respect, this man is a buffoon. If you guys agree with P, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, I gotta agree. Bron says, this cat's serious, bro. He's serious like a $2 bill, but he about as real as a $3 bill. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, whose grandfather is this, man?
for me, as a family historian who wants to have a full understanding of our history, bringing our families together to talk about.
Here go my question, man. What don't you understand, bro? What is it that you do not understand? Can you explain to me, family, what you don't understand? What is it that you don't get, bro? Shout out to all the light-skinned people in the comment section, man. We mad, bro. You know what I'm saying? We mad at this. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to, speaking of the devil, shout out to my man KO Kid Fit. Bro, I was telling you, man, listen, bro. This giving me a headache, fam. I was just telling you how I wasn't feeling good and shit. This made me feel worse. I'm about to be super duper knocked out today. Oh my goodness, man. That right there, Deneen. That part. That part. They wouldn't allow it.
About our individual existences as our lives kind of went different directions and then have come back together in this space, I think are really important.
He said as our lives went different directions. You think? You think? You know what I'm saying? Like, you think? Shout out to the brown skins. Brown skins mad for y'all. We only like 2 hues away from y'all. You know how they like to group us together. Facts. Because under the right lighting, a brown skin is just a click of the light away from being light skinned. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. You know what I'm saying? Facts.
Important. And I think the other thing is that we offer an opportunity for our country to see a group of people who were together but separate in the 19th century and who have come back together to say, you know, we need to do a better job of speaking to one another. And in doing so, we hope to try to change the dialogue in the country as we are working to try to answer questions and work together.
Well, Susan, let me bring you in here. I've met you on a recent trip to the South. I met you outside the Tallahatchie County Courthouse in Mississippi.
Now, this is that Susan woman, right? This is that Susan woman that we talked about in the last article that's supposedly some type of historian that's matching families up who have dealt with difficult times for quote unquote racial reconciliation. Let me ask you guys a question. How do you think this lady feels about reparations? What do you guys think? Shout out to the mocha lattes in the building. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of mocha lattes, I think we're gonna start our Just Pearly Things weekend marathon out with part 2 of Venti Roast. Jay Bird had to unsubscribe. Damn, don't do me like that, Jay. You know what I'm saying? Don't do me like that, bro.
That's a place where you had helped to negotiate and facilitate the apology that county gave to the family of Emmett Till. You're working to bring these families together here in this situation.
So a county gave an apology to the family of Emmett Till, but they won't put the lady that was involved in the murder on trial. Did you guys hear that? Blaxploitation says together but separate. Old man Lightly is really playing this down, bro. Yeah, he's really playing it down. He's really irking my nerves. You know what I'm saying?
Helped to negotiate and facilitate the apology that county gave to the family of Emmett Till. You're working to bring these families together here in this situation. What is the significance of this moment in this country that is where we're so fraught when it comes to race relations?
Denise says, I love you, Rob, but I'm too old for this pearly thing stuff. You know how I go. You know how it is, Denise. You know what I'm saying? We got to get a channel a little pump real quick and then bring it back.
See, these two families, Robert E. Lee name is a very heavy.
Shout out to the grift. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys show some love. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat for my man Lloyd Sky 9s with the $10 super chat. My man Lloyd Sky 9 says, I actually have a family member just like this. He records the family history, and when I brought up reparations, he said that food stamps was one handout and we don't need another. Oh my goodness. Food stamps, first of all, is not a handout to black people, and second of all, slavery was the biggest handout that anybody in the world has ever had. Man, what did you say in response to that, Lloyd Sky 9? And make sure you guys throw some radiation emoji in the chat. Show some love to Lloyd Sky 9 for the $10 super chat. My man Jay Bird says, bro, his people, like so many others, have the strong case for reparations, and these old Negroes choose peace over what's owed for the legacy. I'm heated, bro. Me too. If you're heated, put an angry face or some fire in the chat.
Name come together.
It is, and I think it's a bright spot in an otherwise polarized environment. I think it is a sign of hope. It is a sign that this kind of work, as hard as it can be done, and the rewards of pushing past the stories that have separated us, that have allowed stereotypes.
Why do we need to push past them? So what we're going to do is we're going to give the people who are damaged by this the same treatment as the people who benefited from it. Does that make any sense? Shout out to my man Terrence. What's good with it, bro? We're going to give the people that were damaged by this situation the same treatment that we're going to give the people who benefited from it.
It is, and I think it's a bright spot in an otherwise polarized environment. I think it is a sign of hope. It is a sign that this kind of work, as hard as it can be done, and the rewards of pushing past the stories that have separated us, that have allowed stereotypes to develop, that have allowed us to stay apart from each other, and to, frankly, perpetuate myths and systems that aren't helpful to everyone. We can move past that if we
myths. What myths? You mean like birth of a nation? Like that kind of myth? What myth? That's that same shit that Just Pearly Things was saying. You see, I'm gonna keep bringing that shit up. Who said that it was a myth? Who else said that it was a myth? Just Pearly Things is the one that kept saying this shit was a myth. You guys remember that? Right. Blaxploitation, and she got that shit from Thomas Sowell. There's nothing mythological about any of this.
face it honestly if we face it together.
Susan, you explained something to me that I thought was so profound. I haven't really thought.
No, because we weren't enslaved together. We didn't go through Jim Crow together. There was a group of people that benefited from Jim Crow, and there was a group of people that were harmed by Jim Crow. We didn't go through or do any of this stuff together. So, like, what's up with all this together talk? We're supposed to move through it. How? I talked about the extraction method to people outside of Black Light Revelations, outside of our little group of people here. It wasn't popular. People weren't feeling it. But these are the people that we will have to be having some kind of quote unquote friendly negotiation, quote unquote friendly talk with. I don't see it. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys see it? I don't see it.
Thinking about it in the months since, which is we as human beings relate better to something that is shared as a narrative, as storytelling, more so than facts and figures, or there's even a neurological basis to this. What do you find when you have, what do you call it, the welcome table, when you bring people together and they just...
Jay Burr said, I would like to hear about it. What, you want to hear about the extraction method? The extraction method is basically powernomics on steroids, but using it as a weapon.
Start talking.
You know, initially people are skeptical, right? I could pay my student loans if I had a dollar for every time I've heard talk is cheap. But we change the way we talk with each other. We sit in a circle. There's a leader in every chair. We have conversational norms in the welcome table about how we're gonna...
This is an AA meeting she's talking about. Racist Anonymous. Racism Anonymous. Let's just have a little sewing circle and just talk about this. Really? What's there to talk about? That's the question that I always ask. Like when people have, you know, when this kind of thing comes up and, you know, people have discussions about it. I'm serious. Like when it comes to this kind of stuff, what is there to talk about? Where's the debate? Instead of using all the information that this family has, they still they have the links, they have all the paperwork, they have the family history and knowledge. Instead of using that to help with reparations, they're sitting here babbling about reconciliation. This is crazy, man.
Talk with each other that include things like when things get difficult, turn to wonder. Identify your assumptions and suspend your judgments. Maintain confidentiality, respect silence. We have these ways of, you know, how we talk about things is just as important as what we say. And then we move very quickly into asking folks to share their stories because neurologically we know our brains respond more to narrative than to facts. And in those spaces, we get to see each other in new, authentic ways. We get to see ourselves through others' eyes. We get to shift our perspective and see ourselves in another person's shoes. And that is the pathway to empathy. And once we have empathy, then we can have a revolution.
Who cares about empathy? And you don't have no kind of revolution with empathy? What kind of revolutions come with empathy?
That's based on love.
Stephen, if you can explain how you're
based on love, all of those lashes on people's back, it's just love taps. I gotta agree. If you guys agree with Deneen, this is just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. This is a bunch of nonsense.
Going into this conversation where many people would hear it and they immediately think Robert E. Lee, statues, the Confederate flag, how can one possibly come together with the other? Do you even remotely have that conception anymore now that the two families have been coming together over this time?
Well, absolutely. I mean, those are realities that we are dealing with, and our country and our narrative is ingrained in a lot of these things. And I think as we have begun to speak about our various narratives, our individual lives, it's helped us to appreciate what we've all had to deal with.
Appreciate it? Appreciate it? Man, this is crazy.
In the case of the Lees, they have, you know, their ancestors did certain things in this country that are not necessarily how many of us believe they should have behaved. And they've had to carry that with them for generations. They're not the ones that live that space, but they have to carry that with them. On the other hand, folks in the Syfax family, we have lifted up our lives and worked to try to change our society by doing things that can help others and to try to bring people into circles like this. And I think as we begin to share our varying life experiences, we begin to understand and appreciate one another, just as Susan was saying, so that we can hear what the other side is saying, what other people are saying. And then we can begin.
You didn't hear him say the N-word enough? What else do you need to hear from quote unquote the other quote unquote side? What else is there to hear? Somebody need to give him some NyQuil and put him to bed.
Begin to work on things, projects and things together that we believe are important for helping to, make our lives richer and to perhaps change the world.
Susan, when you facilitate these conversations...
Yeah, make our lives richer and change the world by writing that check. Black God Monolith says Stockholm Syndrome describes the psychological condition of a victim who identifies with and empathizes with their captor or abuser and their goals. I agree. If you guys agree with Black God Monolith, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
And people go to that very raw space, and the history, it's not going to be removed. It's still present, but we're able to work through it. Families are able to work through it. People are able to work through it. What do you see come out the other side? As you might.
How do you work through it without fixing it? That's my question for you guys in the comment section. That's my question. Shout out to my man Solo T40. What's good with it, bro? That's the question for you guys. How do you work through it without fixing it? Now, see, here's the thing, right? I have a solution, a suggestion, I should say, for working through it without fixing it. And that's us fixing it ourselves through the extraction method. But my question is, what are they offering? What are they talking about? Because I guarantee you they're not going to be happy with the extraction method. So that's not something that they want us to do. But what are they talking about? How do you work through it? Make that make sense. What does the model of that look like? Anytime these people talk about all of these bright ideas they have, that's one question that people should ask. What does the model of what you're suggesting look like? How does it work? Do you have a manual written for it? How is that going to work? What does that look like, guys?
Might find this weekend in Virginia, or as you saw in Mississippi.
Well, the past can feel so confining because, of course, we can't go back and change it. But what we can do is change our relationship to it. We can learn from it. I always say that the past should not be an anchor. It should be a buoy that guides us to a better place. And so that is what I have gotten to see over 25 years in some of the places that have most notorious histories of racial violence, that when people are able to come together and speak honestly and authentically, they build relationships of trust that enable them to tell the truth about history. Something miraculous really unfolds, and communities that were written off come alive again.
So that's going to make communities come alive again? Let me ask you guys a question. Is our community coming alive again with any of these bright suggestions? All of this stuff that she's talking about, this stuff has already happened or is happening. So our quote unquote communities should be quote unquote coming alive again, right? Now, here's my question for you guys. Are they? Is that happening? Are we seeing that? And if we're not, why not? Is she offering actual solutions? Is any of what she's offering viable? Does it make any sense?
So we see this happening on a macro level. Is there a path forward for the nation at large to understand there are lessons they can take from this?
Absolutely. There are people around the country that probably don't know that they're part of a movement yet because they don't know each other. But I've worked in over 25 states. There are good people across the country who want things to be better, who are tired of the polarization and who want to move forward, but maybe don't necessarily know how. And then some folks are just trying some things. And so we want people to know that there is a pathway. There are many people who are on that path. And we want to help bring people together in order to walk that path together and make a better future. We owe it to our kids.
Stephen, I know you want to answer this too, but I want to also ask you, Answer that in the.
Now, what I find fascinating about this entire situation right here, this entire news report, they're not even offering any kind of solutions to what's going on as far as the dilution and removal of Black history. They're not even offering any solutions about that. You guys notice that? If you guys notice that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't notice that, give me a thumbs down. They're not even offering any solutions about that. And I gotta agree with Torian. They know how. Cut the damn check. They've offered literally no solutions except for these nonsensical family reunions that are gonna do absolutely nothing to help improve anything. Which means that the idea of this nonsense, this is just a stalling tactic.
Through the prism of this is happening in a very symbolic location at Arlington House in Washington. As you pointed out to me when we first spoke, this is a place that overlooks our nation's capital. So it's not only a place with a fraught history, but it's a very conspicuous place. So what's the symbolism there?
Well, the symbolism of this house reflects, the history.
Notice how they specifically asked what the symbolism is. The reason why they asked specifically what the symbolism is because there's nothing tangible here being offered. They're not offering anything tangible. So the only thing that they can ask about, the only thing that they can talk about is the symbolism. That's it. And shout out to Carla and Val for answering the Nightbot. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Of our country. It was built by enslaved labor. Enslaved labor helped it to run.
Okay, and let me ask, okay, so now we have this guy that says it was built by enslaved people with slave labor. And remember, those people were never compensated. So now what? Now what?
Our country sent troops there to protect our country once the Civil War started.
Now, what is he talking about here? You weren't protected because you were slaves. If the country was protecting you, they wouldn't have allowed slavery. If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. You can't sit there and say, well, this country kidnapped and human trafficked a bunch of people, bred them, and then, they were protecting you. No, the people that were protected didn't go through anything that the slaves went through because they were protected, which meant that the slaves were unprotected.
Well, the symbolism of this house reflects, the history of our country. It was built by enslaved labor. Enslaved labor helped it to run. Our country sent troops there to protect our country once the Civil War started. There are a lot of aspects of the history here that I think are important. And I think, Jared, for me, the analogy that I've been starting to use, Susan and I have talked about this a couple times, is I feel like we are in a fishbowl. This is a very iconic space overlooking the Capitol, as you said.
Yeah, we are in a fish bowl, and we're in a fish bowl, and we're bleeding, and the bowl is full of piranhas. That's what we're in. We're in shark-infested waters. That's the only kind of fish bowl that we're in. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed that like button, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, make sure you guys take a moment, hit that bell icon twice, share this video to your social media, and also make sure that you guys subscribe to my backup channels.
And it offers an opportunity for people to see this group of descendants come together and ask questions about why and how did you come to this space? And for us to turn around and say, here are the things that we think are important, not only for us, but things that we think are important in terms of helping to teach a more complete history of our country and trying to get people to enter in spaces like this.
We need reparations, my dude. Reparations. We don't need to be taught anything. If you guys agree with PD Chicago B1, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Man, I hope that either Jason Black or Professor Black Truth I really hope they cover this topic. I hope Torian covers this topic. I hope that Kid Gravity covers this topic. I hope that TD Hip Hop Media covers this topic. I hope that Phil Scott covers this topic. I hope that Harvey covers this topic. I hope that Nicole's View covers this topic. Man, I hope that everybody that does any kind of content, anything like this, covers this damn topic. Because this is absurd.
Way that they can both educate themselves and perhaps start to think a little bit differently about how they interact with others.
Well, I wish you both the best in this weekend's events. You don't need me to wish the best. You're on such a fabulous path. I hope
Yeah, such a fabulous path to destruction.